Hi everybody, my name is Ritesh and welcome to today's STEMpump camp, designing an app with Figma and SwiftUI. I'm super excited for this camp because it's kind of different than what we've done in the past where we kind of create everything from scratch. In this camp, I've already made a design with a few different pages and interactions, and we'll be using this design in Figma to develop the interface in SwiftUI with a few interactions as well. This camp might be very long or like an average, 30-40 minutes camp. I'm not totally sure. I did a lot. But yeah, I'm super excited. So this is kind of the app demo, I guess, with the interactions and the prototypes all kind of combined. I've kind of made my own rendition of the Tesla app because I think it's a pretty helpful challenge to kind of figure out what drivers want and need in a car app, especially when you have all the technology available to you. So you can just unlock and lock your car pretty quickly here. These I obviously do just for the sake of our time. I might add later. Gear for settings on your account and such. It shows you how many miles you've charged. It shows the status of your vehicle as well as when it was last updated. I think this is important because if you don't have like service or the car has terrible connection, at least you know how long it's been since that has happened. Quick shortcuts basically allow you to add things that you want, actions that you want. So say you want your fan to turn on, you can click this and you can see it'll turn on the fan. You can always tap out to kind of dismiss it or hit the cancel to deny it. Maybe you want to have charging settings available, so kind of see set charge limits and stop charging if your car is charging. Media controls, so you can control the music that's going on in the car. This is Don't Take the Money by Bleachers, really good song. As well as volume control. Closing a charge port perhaps. Recent actions, so maybe show the last few that you've done, so maybe opening a trunk or turning off your fan. Or trying to summon your vehicle. Right here I've kind of turned it into kind of a grid of sorts. And so you can kind of see I've done controls. This is pretty simple of a page. I've also, climate is blue because it's kind of cooling. Done the location, so it's kind of a map where you can kind of play a little sound from your vehicle as well as find the general location of it. Empire State Building. As well as summon controls. And then one really cool feature that I thought, you can also, reorder groups. So say you want these at the top, you can just kind of reorganize how this is set up and maybe go to more of a traditional layout like the current app has. So it gives the opportunity for you to do these things, which I think is super important because you can then, make workflows for your morning. Say every morning you want to be able to, heat up your car or have certain music or have the news stations or radio stations playing when you enter. This is helpful like that, or start charging when in the morning or at night, things like that. So yeah, and then I think one of the cooler features is the voice command. So you can click on that and it kind of looks like a waveform and you can kind of speak into it. So this one's like go to Times Square. And this is kind of similar to the actual car's voice command system, where you just hold a button and it kind of asks you, hey, what do you need? This also enables you to do it from your home and everything, but it also gives passengers, the capability of being able to tell the voice command stuff. Especially this media controls thing, you could have it so the car kind of blocks all other features except media controls, where someone could be the in-car DJ and such. The Figma file kind of looks simple when I show it to you. This is all of our kind of views. You can see all these are our modals / overlays. These are all done through components. So if I change, the color of this to red, you'll see that they all kind of update, which is really helpful, I guess, in adapting our design. This is a component. We use icon properties, which is really new in Figma, to be able to kind of manipulate these for this and change the icon. And we use this component again in this action button, which is also everywhere here and here. So components make things super easy, even here and here, for adaptation, or if you want to duplicate things over several frames and views and such. What's really cool about Figma is that we can actually just isolate on certain things. So maybe this microphone icon right here, and we can inspect, and you can see that we have a lot of different things So CSS, we also have iOS data. This is for UIKit. We won't be using UIKit today. We'll be using SwiftUI. It's much easier to build and much faster to build in. But we still get a lot of different data, font families, styles, sizes, typography, and such, because this is text. We also get, if I kind of isolate this bar right here, you can see we get colors and radius and all that fun stuff. So today we'll be building this app. And like I said, I've already attached this link for you, so you can always just kind of check it out. And I'll hopefully might add more to it and kind of flush it out and such. This is just kind of there so you can kind of see it and take a screenshot of what it would look like. So yeah, you can access this just with the link, or you can create a Figma account and duplicate it and kind of make it your own. So yeah. All right, so let's jump straight into Xcode. Xcode is Apple's proprietary IDE, which stands for an integrated developer environment. And with it, we can, develop our apps using SwiftUI, which is an awesome framework by Apple that allows us to, create views and such. It makes apps really, really easily. So you can make basic apps super easily. Our STEMpump app is written majority in SwiftUI, even though we have, some UIKit stuff hidden in there. But yeah, so you'll kind of open up Xcode and you'll see something like this. We'll create a new Xcode project. It's gonna load up. There we go. It'll be for iOS. It'll be an app. So you can add a organization identifier. This is mine. You can choose SwiftUI as an interface, Swift, and make sure all the settings are the same. I'll do my Tesla app or something similar to that. I'll just hit create. All right, so let's jump straight into it. So this is our interface. You should see this. What we're first going to do is go to the top and kind of change this. I'll make this the iPhone 13 Pro. You can hit resume. I'll also just kind of expand this and make my code bigger. On this side is our kind of files. So this is our Swift file called content view. We won't really be messing with this that much. And it's kind of right here that we'll edit our code inside of these structs with a var buddy some view. This displays it right here, so you can see that. We can actually just change this from hello world to this is my app. And you can kind of see it changes in real time, which is really, really cool with SwiftUI. On the side, we can manipulate a lot more. So here we can maybe change the font to large title. We can make it semi-bold. We can make the color red. And you can kind of see it does all those things. We will kind of move this to the side for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to drop this in here. I'm going to make that smaller, small enough, so I can just do that and hide it, just so we can kind of see what our layout looks like next to the app. And kind of go from here. So that should be good. I'll kind of leave it as my Tesla app. We're not going to be designing for iPad today, so you can check that out. And then for assets and our app icon, I've already attached app icons for you. So you can just kind of drag and drop it if it'll let me. And I'll just kind of drag that in here, and you'll see it all kind of just, I like this green. And I'll go here, and it won't really show, but I'll rebuild it, and then we'll kind of see it in a little bit, hopefully. There we go. Cool, and you can see the icon already updated there at the top. We can just delete this old one because we don't need it anymore. And good to go. So this is our app. So let's start actually building our interface. This image will also be available to you for download. So yeah, let's start building out what our app looks like. So what we can do is we'll kind of start at the top and work our way down. So what we're first going to do is create a Z stack. And a Z stack essentially enables us to have different layers of 3D layers, because this item on here always will stay on the top. And we'll start with this and kind of work our way backwards. So what we'll do is we'll add, and this Z stack is for, I guess, the Z dimension, which is 3D. We'll do a V stack, which stands for vertical stack, and we'll add a spacer. And a spacer basically takes up all the space in a view. So if we add a V stack, it'll just take up all this space. So see if I add text here, hello, you can see it's at the bottom. Here, it'd be at the top. Pretty straightforward. We want it at the bottom. We'll add an H stack, and we'll add another spacer, and this will push it right here, or obviously right there. Also very, very straightforward. So let's first add our icon. We can write image, system name, and we'll write mic.fill. And this is how we do these icons here. And we'll add an image scale of large to make it bigger, but I don't really like that. And with the image and system name, we can actually just add our own custom. So I'll add a size of 16. That was wrong. I'll make it semi-bold and I'll leave it at default. You can see that wasn't big enough. I'll make it 32. And that seems about right where I want it. We actually set it to 24 here. So I might actually just set it to 24 and kind of get away with that. You can always manipulate it later. What I'm also going to do is add a frame. And a frame allows us to set width and height. And I'll set a total frame of 64 pixels and a height also of 64. You can see that when we have this frame, we have 64 by 64. I'll remove this. And we can add a background. And for now, we'll do color.green. You can see this. What we're also going to do is add a clip shape. And we're going to write circle. That way it becomes a circle. And what we finally want to do is have it kind of nestled up in this corner. I'm going to add something called edge ignore safe area all, and we'll kind of add it, I guess, to this outside. And it'll kind of nestle it in here. And we're going to add something called padding, and padding will essentially allow us to kind of leave this, it'll add space around it. If we had padding on the outside of an object, it'll add space around it. And if we had padding on the inside of something, it'll put space inside of it. We can't really see it because of this. But you'll see like this, we can have padding. And you can kind of see it becomes that. But if we remove it, nothing happens. If we put it here, it does that. So kind of go here. And finally, we'll add a shadow. Shadow with a radius of 4. Maybe 10. 2. I like 10. Let's go 10. I'll add a radius of 10. So just like that, we've already added our little voice command button just straight off the bat. If you want to see what it looks like on your own phone, you can plug your phone in, and you might have an app called Xcode Previews. If you do, you then can click this button right here, and it will actually push it to your phone, so you can actually see what it looks like in real time on your phone as well. So that's really, really helpful when you want to understand scale of things, because I've kind of zoomed in a lot from here. So yeah. So we have that. But this is a lot of code. Over time, we're going to have a lot of code. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make this into something called a component. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another struct, and we're going to call it voice command button view var body sum view. And what we're going to do is we're just going to grab all this code we have, cut it, and paste it right here. And now we can write voice command button. I can maybe add another voice command button if I'd like, and you can see that it's just going underneath it because the shadow's increasing. But if I add a H stack right here, you can kind of see that several of them are kind of just popping up all of a sudden. So that's really helpful. With components, just like we did in Figma, we can get away by doing, we can create code once and just duplicate it as many times as we'd like. You can actually go and see some of our components here, or some of our components, but we'll keep on working our way through. What we'll also do is add a scroll view, so we can scroll through our content. We'll add a H stack for this. So this is an H stack. we'll add a VStack right here to kind of display two pieces of text. You can write text. We'll write model 3, and we'll add another piece of text that says Mach 5. That's a Speed Racer reference if anyone understood it. And then also right here, we'll add another HStack, and I'll kind of explain this in a little bit. What we're going to do is we'll kind of start styling our text out. But you can kind of see that we need some padding on this, so we'll add some padding on the outside. You can also see it's misaligned. We can add a frame, and what's kind of cool is you don't even need to specify. You don't actually need a frame. You can just use alignment.leading, and we can also, and and leading basically means left aligning, and trailing means right aligning. Let's start with this little pill at the top here. It's red, so we can add a background of color.red. We can also add foreground, and foreground color is essentially the text color itself of white. We're going to add some padding, and you can see it's pretty big for our taste. So what I can do is as simple as adding all around padding. So we can do vertical 4, and then we can do .padding.horizontal 8. We can add a clip shape of a capsule, and you see it rounds it out. We can add a .uppercased to make that uppercased. And then finally, let's start manipulating the font. Before we used .system for custom fonts, but maybe we want to try something that's been predetermined by us that will scale well with iOS with accessibility. We can also add font weight, and we'll add medium, or maybe we'll do semi-bold. I don't know what I used here. We'll go with medium. We'll also do that other text, so I'll make that a font.large title, and you can see it's much bigger. We can add a font weight of semi-bold, and I don't actually like how spaced off it is. We can mess with that by writing spacing here and making it 0 and kind of seeing how much that looks like. Let's do 10 maybe. And just like that, we've already designed that much of our view. What I'm also going to do is, obviously, I think there's padding around all of this. So what we're actually going to do is just leave that padding on the outside. We're going to kind of we're going to cut this, and we're going to add another struct. We're going to call it app or home header. So this is the header view, and this is really kind of the general construction of our body, and you can kind of paste it in there. If you ever want to align your code and indent all of it, I need an extra semicolon there. I'll add home header, add padding to it, and you'll see that it'll kind of get fixed now. If I hit resume, it'll recheck the code. If you ever want to indent everything, just Command A and Control I, and Control I will do it. Command A just selects everything. So that's it. Now let's add our background color, and we can do that by adding a frame. We can set a max width of infinity, a max height of infinity, and then adding a background, maybe blue. I'll make it black for now. Then a foreground of white. That way, any text that isn't styled like this will automatically become white. But we don't have really a black as our background, so let's kind of talk about custom colors. We can jump into Assets and create a new folder, and we'll call it Colors. And we'll create a new color set. I'll call it green. And you can see that we have two appearances, a light and a dark. We're just going to use none, so we get a single color. And we're going to use Xcode to do it. So hex. And you can actually go here and change this from floating point to 8-bit hexadecimal. I'm just going to paste it. We're also going to add a red. So we'll get our own custom red. And you can kind of see, I'll have those there as well. We can add a new color set. You're going to set it to none. You're going to click on it, change the hexadecimal. You'll see it on screen, red. You can also rename it by hitting enter. writing it. We'll add another color. No, like that, sorry. Add another color. We're going to call it none right there. Decimal. And we're going to call this one dark gray. Let me see if we have any other colors in our design. We have this blue, so I'll grab that. I keep hitting new. New color set. Blue. You can also rename it right here on the side. We're going to set it to none for appearance. Then we're going to go to hexadecimal, change that to blue, and that's 0075FF. Everything else will just be a gray that we'll kind of default with. So you can go back here, and to use the new colors that we've defined, so we'll start with this button right here. We'll actually write a few things. So instead of this, we're gonna now name it green. Our foreground color will be color dark gray. You can hit resume, so it knows that we've made these changes. This should update. Cool. This red is our own red now. And it's really just as simple as writing the name of the color that we've specified, and it'll change. And then our background, dark gray. There we go. Pretty easy, and I can try again if it, there we go. I don't know, it's complaining. It's good. Okay, so that's where we're at so far. Let's work on these buttons on the side. So we can actually go down and create a struct. We're going to call it general button. And it will set we'll set text for it, just like we did before. Or actually, image, sorry. Image system.name. And we're going to do lock.fill. You can hit Command B to build it, just so it understands that things are changing. And we'll add our general buttons right here. I'll add 2 of them. And you'll see that locks should probably, oh, I spelled it wrong. Lock.fill. You'll see that 2 locks pop up. We can look at this. It's 44 pixels by 44 pixels. So you can do the same thing that we did for our command block thingy right here. We'll add a clip shape right there, circle. And for this, we'll do a background. We'll do color.white. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply an opacity to it, which basically means transparency. That transparency will be 5. So we can actually just write color.white.opacity 0.05. It's like super light. And then what we're also going to do is add an outline to it. And how we can add an outline to it is by using this feature called overlay. And overlay allows us to put things over other views. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of enter here. We're going to write circle, because that's the shape that we have. And we're going to write .stroke, color.white, line width 1. And you can see that we now have these strokes around it. We're actually going to, instead of 1, we're going to go to 0.5. And those are really thin. And we'll add an opacity of 0.1, which is 10%. Now, we want our icons to change. How do we do that? Right before var body, we can actually specify similarly to our properties in Figma. We can write var icon, that's the name of our variable, and apply a data type, so string. We can replace this icon lock.fill with icon. You can see the colors. And now in here, we can write icon and write lock.fill and icon gear. And hit resume. And just like that, we're able to make this work. It looks pretty similar. I think we just need to go a little bit bigger in font size. So we can use image scale.large to get that result that we'd like. And that kind of just does it out the gate for us. This would needed to be a little bit bigger, obviously. And just like that, we've already created the top of our app. What I'm going to do now is add a VStack, because we're going to be adding content above and below it. We're going to move this padding to the outside of it. But I'm also going to add some top padding to this just to give us some more space to work with. And we can just literally do that by adding .top. So we can keep working our way down by adding a divider. And we can't really see the divider, but it exists there. So what we're going to do is create our own divider component. We're going to struct custom divider view var body. We're going to do a rectangle dot frame max width of dot infinity. Our frame height, you can have multiple frames, is 0.5. And then we'll add a fill of color.white.opacity 0.05. Sorry, background. And we hit resume. And now we can add a custom divider. You can see that's how it reacted. It didn't like us using that opacity system. So instead we can actually move this to the outside. And you can see we get perfect results just like we like. And now we can, and I'll just indent really quickly. That looks green because I'm highlighting. And now we can work on our car area. So we'll call this car section. Create another struct. Car section. There'll be a view. Var body. And it's gonna be a V stack with an H stack on top, which is this part. So let's get that done. It's gonna be as simple as adding text, as adding another H stack, adding an image for our little battery icon that we have here, and this is called a battery.75. 75. You can hit resume. And it should pop up like right here, hopefully. No? Oh, it's kind of getting annoyed. There it is. We're going to write 237 miles dot uppercased. And then we're going to add a spacer. And we're going to add a V-stack. This V-stack is going to be aligned trailing, which basically means to the right. Trailing. It's going to be a piece of text that says parked and another piece of text that says last updated 5 min ago. Already off to a good start. I'll indent this just to make it easier. We're going to add a foreground color to this H stack of our green. We can just add this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add a font. And we can actually add a font here as long as we use the custom, which is the systems. And we'll set that to 16. We'll make it semi-bold and we'll make it rounded. I think that's pretty close to what we have here, unless we did, yeah, pretty close. We did 14, so 14. And that looks pretty good. Then for parked, we're going to add we're just going to do a generalized, we'll do, that's a little bit bigger. I actually just kind of like how it is, which is the default. We'll make it medium. And we'll also make this bottom one, we'll make this dot gray. We'll add I'll add the font on top of it, dot font, dot sub headline. Don't like that. Let's do footnote. Or caption 2. That might be good. Cool. We also want these to be aligned to each other. So we can actually do that by, in our H stack right here, we can actually set a alignment to the center. And you can kind of see now they're centered. We didn't do that at the top here because I wanted this to kind of be skewed a little bit. But yeah. Let's also look at something here. Our home header. You can kind of, if I comment this out, what does it do? So you can kind of see that. You see, we have this, that. Let's add some consistent spacing. So 10. Yeah, 20. I kind of like 20 a little bit more. For custom divider, can we go thinner? I actually really like the 0.25 instead. Okay. And maybe actually just make this semi-bold just to make it stand out a little bit more. Cool. Okay, so we can keep on moving on, and we can add an image. So you can go back to our assets and just kind of make a new image asset. I'm going to call it car. And I'm just going to drag in my car image. There it is. And it's honestly as simple as just being like, hey, system, or car. And hitting resume. This is what I named it. Yeah, car. If we hit resume, we'll get this. It's massive. We're going to add a dot resizable to it. But then it kind of shrinks really weirdly. And then we can add a dot aspect ratio dot fit. And boom, problem solved. That's literally it when it comes to adding our car into this. We'll actually apply a VStack spacing on this overall one of 10, just to kind of give us some space to work within. And then boom, add a custom divider at the bottom, and we've already finished the top half of our view. Super easy and super intuitive to go through. Now let's kind of work our way through this next block. So let's add this quick shortcuts. So we can add struct category. Yeah, we'll call it category because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these for the both. These are going to be the same component. We're going to call it category view. It's going to be a type view, var body, some view. And it'll be a VStack and an HStack. The text will say quick shortcuts. Add a spacer, another text that says edit, and just like that, we can now add a category view right here, a custom divider right there, and another category view. We can hit resume. When you add a lot of code, it kind of pauses it and lets you work through, and then kind of jump back into it. Awesome, so there's our stuff. We can start styling it by adding a generalized font. We're going to do title 2. We're going to make it semi-bold. So that kind of works out. We're going to set the color of this to gray. We're going to make the font weight semi-bold. Not semi-bold, medium. We're also going to make this HStack align in the center, just in case it isn't, because text sizes are different. And we can actually make this into a button so we can tap on it and have some cool things appear. So you can actually do button. It won't have any action because that's not what today is, but when you tap on it, you'll get some stuff. So if you hit this play button, you can tap and you can kind of see there's this cool little fade. You can also try and scroll it and kind of see that everything kind of stays where it needs to be. We can actually do the same thing. I'll kind of copy this for our general buttons. I'll add it here and I'll explain why in a little bit. And so now if I hit play, you can they kind of have this cool little animation to them. So yeah, category view completed, good to go. But so we have 2 levels. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create 2 variables. We're gonna create our text. We're gonna call it title, string, and we can go into category views and call it title. We're gonna call this quick shortcuts, and another title that is recent actions. And we're actually just going to add a title here, title. And then we're also going to add a Boolean. So Boolean, edit, or show edit, Boolean, which means it can be true or false, and it's called bool. And we can literally just write if show edit there. And we can also say it shows false. It's equal to false, which means that they won't show up, but we have to specify it. So for this one, we want it to show for quick shortcuts. So you can see show edit true, and we'll override that. What we're also going to do is we're actually just going to duplicate this, and we're just going to kind of cut that, and we're going to call it category header. Category header, title, show edit, because we also use it down here, so it's imperative that we kind of understand how this works, and we can kind of remove that and that, and so we've kind of broken this up now. This is now its own view. Hit resume. So we still have our category views right here, and we can keep on going on. Let's create a scroll view now, a horizontal scroll view to kind of scroll through these. So we're going to write scroll view just like we did before, but now we can write horizontal, shows indicators false. And then inside here, we can add some text maybe. So hello. And you can see if I add several of them and hit run, we can move them to the side. But what we actually need to do is inside here is create an H stack. And you can now see that we can kind of swipe back and forth really easily. But we want to create this now. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another struct. We're going to call it action button. Var body. It's going to be a V stack. It's going to be aligned to the center. I'll kind of delete this all out. It's going to consist of a general button. So it's going to have an icon. So we can set up an icon variable here, string icon. And we're also going to set up some text. So text string text text. If we hit build, it should work. Build succeeded. And we can now add our action buttons. So icon text. Let me add some of ours. So this is bolt.fill. And we're going to call this charging. And I'll kind of just duplicate this like 4 times, 2, 3, 4. Resume. As I got the other ones. This one's fan blades.fill. And it's fan on. This one is play pause.fill. And we're going to call it media controls. And then this last one is about closing our charge port. And that one is, if I can find it, pretty sure it's just bolt.car. There we go. And this was close charge port. And you now see if we swipe, we kind of get a little bit of that. So let's kind of align them properly first. So we'll add a font weight of medium. Actually, what we'll do is we'll do custom font for this just to kind of get what we want out of it. And we kind of set this size to be around 12. So 12 dot semi-bold dot default. And you see it'll shrink. We're also going to add a frame to this text width of, I think, 64. If it lets me do that. There we go. 64 I don't like. I want to make that maybe 96. No, 72. There. This is good. We're also going to add a multi-line text alignment to the center. So now we have that. And then also what we need to do is we need to align our H stack to the top right here. You can kind of tell because these are all misaligned. Cool. Yeah, this icon, this play one is like super, like I hate how it is. We can just use like maybe play.fill. It might size better. Yeah, that size is better. We'll just use the play button, or we can do like a music button. So music.note, maybe. Let's do music.note. This one I had to custom style because it didn't really look that good. And so yeah, we're good to go with our little settings here. Okay, what we're going to do now is, so we can actually duplicate this, is we're going to create a data struct. So we've already created these structs before, but we're going to create a data struct that allows us to create icons and text that we can kind of alternate. So we'll create a struct. We're going to call it action item. It's going to consist of a icon, which is a string, and a text, which is also a string. And then we're going to say let quick shortcuts equal, or actually, and then we're going to this to let it know it's an array. An array is kind of like a several of a single item. An array of action item. And we can kind of go from here. We can add these square brackets. And so action item, icon text. So bolt.fill, we're going to write charging, comma, action item, icon, fan blades dot fill, fan on, action item, media controls. Oh, that's the wrong one. I think it's what? Music dot note. Then media controls. Action item of what is it? Bolt dot car, and we're gonna call that close charge port. So we have this, and then let's add our other actions that we kind of specified here. I think we only need 3, so I can delete this last one. And I'll call this recent actions. And so we'll have that first one, which I think is arrow up dot square. I'll kind of just copy paste this. Up dot square, and that is open trunk. Just normal flan blades is off, and then this summon one is a kind of a doozy to write. Is a person.fill.viewfinder, and so you can hit resume. Everything works the same. In our category view, we're going to ask for one more variable, which is action items. It's an array of action item, and so if I hit build, it's going to crash at the top because it's going to expect 2 action item arrays, and we already wrote them. So quick shortcuts, and I think recent actions. So that's good. We use let because we're not going to change them. And now what we're going to do is inside of this H stack, we're going to actually remove all of this. We're going to add a for each. And for each action items, we're going to do item in. We can write action button icon text. And actually, we're going to simplify it even further. We can just ask for an item, action item, and we'll do item.icon. Item.text, and now we can just write action button item. We can build, and it's going to complain about this identifiable. And really, just to fix this, we can add this little piece of code called self, basically meaning that they need to be hashable. Can I just like set this hashable? Cool. Problem solved. And we can hit resume, and you can now see that now they're specified. Based on different functionality. All right, now we can kind of jump into this little settings thing down here. We can add I'll kind of align everything. I'll remove this because I don't really need that, and I'll kind of expand how much room I have to code. We'll add a custom divider below here. Kind of just we'll add. I guess it should pop in at the bottom of this. Hopefully. It's super weird. I don't know why it's not popping up. That's okay, though. Our code says it's there. Let's work on this bottom. We're going to be using a grid to do this, so that'll be kind of fun because I love the SwiftUI grid. Right, so we can hit try again. And what we're now going to do is we're going to add all settings. And we're going to go to the bottom, struct all settings, view, var body. And first we're going to create a VStack. This VStack is going to contain a category header, and we can just literally just set this. Instead of having variables, we can say we can remove the show edit because it defaults to false, and then we can also just set the title to all settings. I'll turn that off. So we have all settings, and we can create a grid now. What we're going to do is we're going to create this little block first. And so we'll write struct setting block view var body some view. And we want to actually see what it looks like till the end. So first, obviously, is a H stack, then a V stack. We're going to have an image a system name here. It's going to be called icon, var icon string. You should be getting used to this now. We're going to have a var title string, a var subtitle, which is also a string, which is that bottom text. We're going to set this equal to blank, and a var show or has subtitle will be a boolean, and we're going to set this to false. To false. All right. So text title, text subtitle, but if has subtitle show. Should be good to go. Awesome. So that's our like super basic way to do this. We're going to be adding a lazy grid, a lazy V grid. We're going to set some columns up. It's going to be a grid item with dot fixed of 150. You can kind of see where that goes. Then we can add just a bunch of settings blocks. So settings blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, I accidentally removed it. Canvas. There we go. It's going to say we're missing the parameters for all of these, so we might as well add them. Car.fill controls, fan blades.fill climate. Location.fill location. Then checkerboard.shield security, and then I think sparkle.fill. I think that's it. Let me see. Or just sparkles. And then upgrades. You can hit resume. And you can kind of see that. Actually, we can just comment out all of this just to kind of see what it looks like. And we have all these. We set to 100. And now let's set our columns. You can actually check how wide our columns are. And they're around like 170, I guess. But we also want to be able to, oh, I know where I messed up. We have to add 2 of these because we have 2 columns. There we go. There are 2 columns, and everything just will kind of work out. We can also add a var background color, and we'll actually set this to color. And we're actually we're gonna default it to color.white.opacity 0.05. I think that's what we set it to. Let me open up the component. All right, so we can actually start styling. So we can add some padding. We're gonna add some spacer around it. Resume. We're gonna add another image. System name chevron.right. We're gonna add a background. That's gonna be equal to background color. We're gonna add a clip shape. This one's gonna be a rounded rectangle with a corner radius of, let me see, 16. Might be a lot, or not. We're actually gonna set up some of our has subtitle be true. Subtitle. I should use it before. Subtitle. Interior. I'll actually can I just copy this text? Yeah, cool. There's a degree symbol there. And we'll also say, actually, we can actually remove this has subtitle, and you'll see why. If subtitle dot is empty, and we get an exclamation mark, which means basically if subtitle is not empty, and if we have text in it, obviously it isn't. Subtitle Empire State Building. Then subtitle 0 events detected, and then another subtitle 3 upgrades available. All right, awesome. So if I hit resume, they should all now pop up. There we go. Cool, 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 cool. Now let's start setting everything up. So we're gonna align this leading. We're also gonna give a background color to this. So background color blue, because we gave it a blue. We can also add our overlay, obviously, and that will be a rounded rectangle, corner radius 16 dot stroke. I think we did stroke, right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can honestly just copy paste this. It's just be the same thing. Cool. So you can kind of see that looks, it's getting more familiar. You know, a font weight of semi-bold. We're also going to add a, we're going to make this uppercase. We're going to add a font caption 2 to make it like really, really small. You actually need to go smaller than that. So I'll go to system, right, 10.medium.default. If it folds, we're going to actually add something called fixed size. It's going to have a horizontal, true, vertical, false. Here's what I'm going to do. We'll kind of leave it like that for now. Or honestly, I'll just kind of add a subtitle in because I don't want to overcomplicate it with things for now. So we'll say, I guess, car locked will be our subtitle for this. Cool. And we'll also actually add a spacing of 0. And actually, can I go even smaller than, I don't like this. I'm also gonna make this smaller right here. Let's make this 20, let's make that 8. I think here we made it 16 and 8. 20 is way too big. 16 and 8. And I actually just, I'll add a leading padding of 5. And that should provide a better response. And let's see if we can actually add a frame max width dot infinity to these. Line limit of 1. Cool. We can stay with that. I think it's fine. Leading. No, I can set it to here. There we go. And then add a spacing, obviously, of like 5, 2. Cool. So we have that grid also designed out. So that's pretty cool and helpful. We can actually just add these all back in. But actually before that, I'm going to add one more thing, which is this little button at the bottom that says reorder groups. And that's, I'll just write reorder button. And it's super, super easy. You can still do struct reorder button. Text reorder groups. We can add a background, color.white.opacity 0.05. We can add a clip shape of a capsule. And you can kind of see it should just kind of pop up right there. Font.caption. Padding dot horizontal would be 8. Padding dot vertical would be 4. So 12 and 6. 8 and 14. I actually like that more. Cool. And we can literally just drop this, of course, inside a button. Cool. So now I can uncomment the rest. And I'm actually going to add it to my phone now. You can actually type in your phone, hit the play button here. So after pressing the play button, you'll see your app install. So here's my app with the little icon and whatever, and it should auto open, or you can just tap on it, and you can kind of see the UI that we've developed. It looks pretty good on iPhone. I cannot say the same for other devices because we only did it for the newer models. But it looks pretty good. We can tap on buttons and stuff. Some of these have controls, whatever. But yeah, it's super basic. Obviously, there's no functionality to it. And yeah. All right, awesome. So this has already been a very long camp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this up into several different videos, kind of breaking down more of the things that we can do with this app. So I'll kind of just expand it out. So in the next video, we'll go over all these overlays as well as maybe navigation. And I'll kind of set up that camp tonight and figure out how we can go about at giving that. As well as, a lot more of the Figma stuff. So yeah, tune into that video. It should be coming out soon if it's not already there, and you'll see it in an iCard most likely. But yeah, thanks for joining us today at STEMpump Camps. Hope to see you soon.